Behringer clones themselves? Hi, this is Decimal, and welcome to Synth News. Today, Behringer has introduced a new synth, the Proton. It's a semi-modular design, and it's similar to the Neutron synth. And they even said themselves, this time we cloned ourselves. I guess this is Behringer being self-aware. Funny, I guess. So yeah, little information about this synth is that it has, oh, by the way, I'm getting this article from Synthopia. So the Proton is a semi-modular synth with 64 patch points, dual oscillators with 5 bending waveforms, oscillator sync, pulse width modulation, individual sub-oscillators, which is actually pretty cool. And kind of expected, I guess, at the same time. So there's multiple patch points, signal CV mixer, and 2 flexible LFOs. I mean, we are definitely expecting LFOs from this for sure. So having 2 of them is pretty cool. With 5 waveforms, MIDI clock sync, which is always handy, key sync, phase, and depth controls. So here's just a point form list of features. So paraphonic modes, which allows both oscillators to be independently controlled for multi-timbral sound, which would be pretty cool because then you'd be able to stack the oscillators on top of each other. Semi-modular design, which is like pretty obvious by just seeing the image of the synth. Analog signal path, dual oscillators with 5 waveforms. I'm sure if you look really close at the image, you might be able to see the 5 waveforms. I'm sure it's going to be the classics, square sine, etc., sawtooth. Oscillator sync, which we'll probably be able to, combine with the LFOs. And if it's not able to do right out of the box, you can probably just patch that, I'm assuming. External audio can be put into it, so that's also interesting as well. Noise generator is something that people kind of expect. People want noise generators, I guess. It's always great to add a little bit of color to your oscillators by adding a little bit of noise. Yeah, this seems like to be a really interesting synth. 64 patch points. The fact that you can, bring this synth into your Eurorack setups is pretty cool because of all the patch points. And once you have patch points, it really, brings up the customization of how a synth could sound. I'll have to be completely honest here. I'm not the biggest Behringer fan. I do own some of their products. I own a couple of their mixers. But I think the fact that their cloning practice is not something I'm always a huge fan of. Someone comments here, Behringer does Inception. that's pretty jokes. And this is also crazy too. It's going to be available for $300 US. That is pretty freaking cheap. They say availability is TBD because production is waiting on chip availability, which is sort of something that a lot of electronic builders and synthesizer companies are dealing with, is the chip shortage that is happening worldwide. And I'm sure with other stuff that's happening in the news as well, it's not going to help, especially because Behringer is based out of Germany. So Slow Study says, now this is more like it. I like the Neutron in principle, but it's very noisy delay was a kind of deal breaker for me. So yeah, I always knew that the Neutron was a popular synthesizer, so making a sort of sequel to it was a no-brainer in my opinion. Yay, another mono synth from Behringer. Yeah, well, this is the thing though. If this was polyphonic, it would be way more expensive, and it would also be more interesting in my opinion. The fact that this is mono, again, it's like, what new are you bringing to the table? So I'm sure it's going to sound equal to, but also a little different than the Neutron for sure. But yeah, polyphonic would have been something interesting. you can polychain it, just buy a few instead of one. Okay, yeah, you can buy 6 and then you'll have 6 polyphonic voices. I mean, the polychaining thing is kind of cool, but again, Behringer, if you're listening, make a polyphonic semi-modular synth in the same vein as the Proton and the Neutron, and you're gonna have something that people are going to love. High resolution pictures here, thank you. I'll probably scope those out in a second. Skunk says interesting envelope section, but we'll see how it sounds. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to hear how it sounds, and as soon as I'm able to find out what it sounds like, I'll probably make another episode of synth news on it. Sadly, they removed the delay but kept the unnecessary big LFO knob instead. Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video on this new synthesizer. Are you interested in Behringer cloning themselves with their new Proton synthesizer? Please let me know down in the comments down below. And thank you for listening. Peace out.